MacVoicesTV is in Washington, D.C. for Photoshop World. I'm Chuck Joyner. We are in the Wacom booth talking to Wes about all these wonderful tablets just showing. Wes, they keep getting bigger every time I see you exhibit.
You know, we're trying, Chuck. We've got a number of products on display here at the Wacom booth this week. We've got our Intuos 5 pen tablet. That's the next generation of our professional pen tablet line. We've also got our Cintiq interactive pen displays. That's a display that allows you to draw directly on the screen. We recently introduced a new flagship model in the Cintiq line. That's the Cintiq 24 HD. It's a gorgeous 24-inch display that enables you to draw directly on screen. So beautiful display. Again, we're getting a lot of great feedback on both it and Intuos 5.
There was a time I remember when you introduced the first draw-on display, and they were ridiculously expensive and they were small. And now they're still, let's face it, not cheap, but my God, they're gorgeous. You don't need a monitor with some of these things.
You know, that's really it. Gosh, I'm trying to think how far back it was that we introduced that first Cintiq. Actually, it wasn't even called a Cintiq at the time. Yeah, at the time they were, I think around $4,500, $5,000, and nowadays they've come down considerably in price. And you're right, they're not cheap, but it is something of high quality, and you get what you pay for. It can be your only display if that's what you want, and it combines obviously all the benefits that our traditional pen tablets afford: the pressure-sensitive functionality, express keys, touch ring type functionality, right there on the display. So it's perfect for animators, illustrators, photographers, obviously to retouch their images, to draw, to create directly on screen.
There was a time there was a lot of debate over traditional media versus digital, and there was a bit of a divide, and it seems like that's gone away, and I think you all probably had a lot to do with it, because I've been watching this gentleman over here draw on his tablet. He looks like he's drawing just with any other pen, paper, whatever you would normally do. It's really kind of interesting to watch that no longer are you drawing down here and looking at the screen trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I kind of came from that realm. I was trained to draw traditionally with obviously markers, pencils, airbrush. I was an airbrush illustrator by trade before kind of converting to digital. And with every change there's debate. And what I tried to do is help people understand that a tablet and an application like Photoshop or Painter, it's another media, it's another tool. The creativity doesn't come from the computers. You're still in charge. So all a tablet really does is help you to realize your creative vision using, again, a different type of medium.
Now, what are you doing in Photoshop World? Because this is usually about digital photography. Where does the tablet realm fit in?
Well, what we do here at Photoshop World is help photographers understand that there are better ways of achieving the same results that they're going after, and new results that they'd like to achieve with the tablet. There are features that are built into applications like Photoshop, and Painter, and Illustrator, and dozens of other applications, filter plugins again as well, that have been designed very specifically to take advantage of the primary feature of a tablet, and that's pressure sensitivity. That pressure sensitive control gives you, again, a level of control you just can't get with any other input device.
I hadn't really thought about it that way, and I guess I am biased. I think of a tablet as a drawing device instead of a manipulation device.
Yeah, that's I don't want to insult you. It's a common misconception, and that's again what we're trying to do to help photographers understand that. A lot of people think tablet and they say, well, I don't really draw, so I don't really know if there's really a benefit for me to use it. And I would submit to them, well, actually there's quite a bit. And while drawing is an obvious need for a tablet when you're working on a computer, for a photographer, it's again an additional level of control that you're not getting. You're still going to use the same tools that you use today, but with a greater level of control by taking advantage of features that are built into it.
And I'm struck by the versatility and the number of devices you seem to have here. They've graduated so much. I guess I'm speaking from a biased position. I just haven't paid that much attention because it's not something I do. But what I'm seeing here is kind of amazing. Where you've taken the tablet space. Yeah,
it's funny. We get people coming up to us all the time when we create a new tablet, and they say to us, wow, just when I thought it couldn't get any better, you guys come up with these innovative features, and a lot of that is. It's through the feedback that we gather from our users. We really look very closely at how it is that people are using various products, various applications, and we try to make them more intuitive. Of course, we love to add new features, but at the same time, we like to refine those things that work and make them more intuitive for our users. So, we can really break it down to a number, just a couple of things. We've got traditional tablets, or what we call opaque tablets sometimes, and then we have the interactive pen display, and there's obviously flavors of each one. But what it comes down to is what exactly people are doing with them. We've got consumer lines and a professional line, and and there's some gray area in between some of those sometimes. But, again, at the end of the day, we're trying to build a tool that's available to a very broad audience, a very broad budget base. So we like to think we've got something for everybody, and we do our best that way. So, we invite people to check them out and see what works for them.
Do you see any impact, it may be a little early now or forthcoming, from the iPad? And, people now are getting used to the idea of doing things with their hands and maybe with tools, styli on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking very closely at the quote-unquote touch market, the iPad market, tablet market, I suppose I should say. And we've addressed that with the Bamboo stylus, for example. That's a stylus that you can use on your iPad. It doesn't incorporate the pressure-sensitive functionality that you'd find in our Intuos and Cintiq lines, but it's a bridge, if you will, to enable artists that want to take a tablet on the road and draw and kind of concept and create ideas while they're traveling. And then they can bring something like that back into a more full-fledged application like a Photoshop or Painter and so on. We'd love to see some pressure-sensitive functionality brought to tablet-type devices, and we'll work in that area. Outside of our branded products, that the Intuos and Cintiq and Bamboo, we work very closely with various product manufacturers to build in that sensor board, that pressure-sensitive functionality in other devices. We're starting to see that in tablets, like the Galaxy tablet from Samsung, for example. So we're looking very closely at it always. We're monitoring that, and we're confident that we're going to have something available to folks as technology evolves a little bit more.
Should be in a perfect position because you've got a lot of knowledge to leverage that a lot of others don't.
Well, again, we try, and we've obviously been playing in the space quite a long time, a couple dozen years, almost 30 years now, which is pretty incredible for a technology company. A lot of people are amazed at how long we've been around, and we've definitely grown over the years, and as applications evolve, as input evolves, we feel pretty comfortable that we're going to be able to address that.
Where do people go to learn more about all of what you do and everything you offer?
Well, definitely our website's the best place to start. Wacom.com, you can find, that's your jumping off point for both, basically anyone from around the world. We've got regional websites all around the world that address various needs. But go to Wacom.com, you can find a number of things up there. We've got tons of resources up there. I manage a webinar program and our blog. We've got all sorts of different videos that are available on our YouTube channel. We're on Facebook and Twitter, so you got to friend us there. You got to follow us on Twitter. We're trying to be everywhere. We're trying to help everybody find their access point to our product information as best we can.
Wes, thanks for the time. I know it's busy, and I'll let you get back to it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Chuck. Happy to be here.
Folks, we'll have more from Photoshop World in Washington, D.C. I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is MacVoicesTV.
MacVoicesTV is part of the MacVoices Group and a member of Mac Level 10.